Agree.
Especially in California, you have limited water use. If you use more than water you expected, they fine you. Second warning is triple fine, and after that, there's some talks about prison. That's why you hear some from people in California.
In my book, I have 2 chapters on environmentalism. One will talk a lot about the UN and the restrictions of liberty. But you see the restrictions of liberty through the use of proletariat. So they had deliberately, the Marxists who were running Europe for a long time, first they did everything they can to destroy Christianity. Because as you saw in that video, they said there's very few people who even believe in God, let alone followers of Christian. Europe was once called Christendom. Think about that. Europe was called Christendom because the Christians ran Europe. And slowly but surely they subverted it and they destroyed Christianity. If you look at Karl Marx, a lot of people think that Karl Marx was an atheist. But Pastor Sanders has talked about this fellow named Richard Warrning, wrote a book called Marx and Satan. He makes the case that Karl Marx was really a Satanist.
Right.
So you have the strange bedfellows between communism and Islam, because Islam are radical religious fanatics, and then Marxists tend to be either atheists or Satanists. And the movie, that video I was supposed to show you, there's a quote from Karl Marx saying, his goal in life is to dethrone God and destroy capitalism. If Karl Marx was an atheist, why would he have to dethrone God? Atheists say God doesn't exist, right? You don't attempt to dethrone somebody who doesn't exist. And because he wants to dethrone God, what does the Bible tell us about Lucifer? Lucifer rebelled against God. We're trying to dethrone him, saying, you're not my God. I don't have to do what you tell me to do. And Satan and a third of the angels were cast out of heaven. Satan tried to dethrone God. Karl Marx, his goal in life is to dethrone God. Destroy capitalism, because under capitalism people can become self-sufficient and independent, and we don't need a predatory government. We don't need all these huge Soviet-style agencies. Right? Let's look a little bit more at Barack Obama's Marxism. We talked about the redistribution of wealth, which is hardcore Marxism. When Barack Obama became president, he had Ron Bloom become his car czar. All right? What did Ron Bloom say? Ron Bloom says, we agree with Mao Zedong that political power...
I got 1 copy left if somebody wants to buy
I have a copy too.
Okay, somebody wants to buy one.
Okay, yeah, this is the book. I have this copy at home. Richard Wurmberg. Ron Bloom says, we agree with Mao Zedong that political power grows out of the barrel of a gun. Why would Barack Obama appoint him as car czar? His a temporary communications director was Anita Dunn. She said her two favorite philosophers, Mother Teresa and Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong is responsible for the death of 76,702,000 men, women, and children. Who would have such a person as their communications director? If you go on YouTube, on the Fox News channel, you go back, I think one of the very initial Christmases that the Obamas celebrated when they were in the White House. There's a picture of Barack Obama and Michelle Obama standing in front of, next to the White House Christmas tree. Not the one outside, but the one inside the White House. And if you pan down, you'll see a Christmas ball with a picture of Mao Zedong on it. Now connect that with Barack Obama's 20-year friendship with William Ayers, who wants to exterminate 25 million Americans back in the 1970s. We have a morally insane man in the White House. Okay, now let's look a little bit at the Muslim side of Barack Obama. Barack Obama spent time in Indonesia, and he was taught the Muslim religion. Remember in 2008 he was being interviewed by George Stephanopoulos, and he said, everybody saw it. He says, Barack Obama was talking about my Muslim faith. And he didn't stop himself. George Stephanopoulos stepped in and said, you mean your Christian faith? Oh yeah, my Christian faith. Who in this room would ever talk to somebody and say, accidentally say, my Muslim faith, or my Buddhist faith? It's impossible. Unless inside here, you're a Muslim. Right? Pastor Sanders talks about this a lot. How many people in the Muslim Brotherhood are in the Obama administration? Lots of them. The Muslim Brotherhood is a front organization for Islamic terrorists.
Joe Biden is a Catholic.
Yeah, so is Nancy Pelosi.
I like it.
All these pro-abortion people who claim to be pro-abortion. Barack Obama claims to be a Christian. He supports abortion. He supports gun control. That led to all this genocide that we talked about.
He goes by what his buddies told him, like Pelosi, Biden.
Right.
Saul Alinsky. He knows he
Yes, yes, ma'am.
I got an email from a friend, and I saw this a couple years ago too, and it's about Obama, and it's several videos of him saying, I'm Muslim, him being in, with Muslim people, and talking about I am Muslim.
Yes.
And he once said that America is no longer a Christian nation, it's Muslim. But there were several. I mean, it's kind of lengthy. And I tried to send it to some of my friends, because I just think that this should be known. And they mentioned that this was supposed to be on Fox News, and I don't know when, but at some point it was a must-see, but it didn't say what it was, okay? Well, they wouldn't let them do it. So that is still on YouTube. They don't know how long it'll be there. But I just want people to see this and pass it around, you know?
Well, what I do is when I find those videos, I copy the link and I send it out to email to everybody on my email list.
Yeah, well, there's some of my people that I know are, I wouldn't dare. And
I have liberals in my family. I send them all this stuff.
You have a liberal family?
Before they used to challenge me. They don't anymore.
Yeah.
I don't hear a peep out of them. And I send them all this stuff.
You have a liberal family?
I have both conservatives and liberals in
I
my
have a
family.
lot of liberal cousins. A lot of them work with the Obama administration. I tease my cousins. I said, ask your boss, is he a Muslim Christian? And I said, tell your boss, tell the truth. And my cousins, they caught me from my contact list because they don't want to get in trouble if I say something about their boss. And I said, by the way, I know you guys hiding something from me. I said, I know the answer. He is a Muslim. I said, by the way, he's not from Hawaii. He's from Kenya. I said, by the way, one of his own buddy, who's a senator from Minnesota, Al Franken, went to school, during the all-U.S. thing. He's good at it. And he forgot to draw Hawaii. Somebody told, he said, oh, yeah. He said, before my time, there was no Hawaii or Alaska. He said, it came later. And he said, fine, I'll try the Hawaii, which he did. And he said, I don't think my boss is from Hawaii. And he told the kids, he said, shh, I don't want my boss to come after me. His own buddy said he was not from Hawaii.
Yeah.
Senator Al Franken, but he's a socialist too. I'm not a big fan of that.
Let's take a look more at Barack Obama's Muslim side. It was actually reported from the New York Times, I think it was in 2007, where he was talking to Barack Obama, and Barack Obama was speaking to him. He was saying Muslim prayers to this, because I guess he was asking about his background in Indonesia and so forth. And he said Barack Obama was saying his various prayers, Muslim prayers. I've got the names written down, but I can't tell you the title of the names of these prayers because they're written in Arabic, and I would just destroy them. I'd stumble all over, so I'm not even going to attempt to tell you what the names are, but you can find them yourself. Do a Google search. But one of the calls to prayer that Barack Obama said to this New York Times reporter was an affirmation of your faith in Islam. In other words, Barack Obama said a prayer confirming his faith as a Muslim, confirming himself as a Muslim. In 2009 in Cairo, 2010 in Jakarta, Barack Obama addressed groups of Muslims. And in both of those times, the greeting that he greeted to them is reserved exclusively for one Muslim, for another Muslim.
It's not beyond this film
Yes,
that I have,
yes,
you know.
yes. In other words, you have to be a Muslim to greet another Muslim in this way. And twice, like I said, 2009 and 10, Barack Obama did exactly that.
And he started apologizing what America did to the Middle East. He did apologize. It was on Fox News, I remember. It was on Fox News. And Hamilton said, even if we attack other countries, we should not apologize. He said we should not be apologizing. He said this president's been apologizing all over the country that alerts the Muslims to come after us. Not just that same term, also Senator Primary. He said, I don't apologize. That's why you got to fight with Ron Paul. He said, I don't apologize. and in which I don't agree with the libertarians because they keep saying we should apologize for the offense. But so Ron Paul has the same comments as Obama does for that. We got to get along with the Middle East. We got to apologize for what we did. No, I don't apologize. We got to do what we got to do.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I'm a big fan of Sean Hurley and Rick Santorum.
When Muslims pray, sometimes they'll say, they'll refer to Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and then Muhammad. Right? That's what they say. Jesus was a prophet, not the Son of God like we see him. And when they say a prayer regarding those people, they'll say, and Barack Obama has said this prayer. It's a Muslim prayer. It says, I'm paraphrasing. It's saying, and peace be with them. All right? Now you only say peace be with them to people who are deceased. We as Christians know that Jesus isn't dead. Right? After 3 days, he was resurrected.
That's right.
Jesus is alive and well. Right?
That's right.
So why would you say a prayer about it, a prayer that you say to dead people and include Jesus' name, unless you believe Jesus is dead? Barack Obama said that prayer. How can Barack Obama be a Christian if he's saying a prayer reserved for dead people includes Jesus in that prayer?
Not a Christian.
Right? He's not a Christian. You can't be a Christian and say that prayer.
Same with his buddy Al Sharpton. I don't believe Al Sharpton is Christian too. I don't believe that.
Al Sharpton is a Marxist imam. Because he did in Ferguson what those imams are doing in France, in England, right? Riding up the troops.
You've been neglecting Jesse Jackson, isn't there?
He's up there too.
The Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
He's a Muslim. Jesse Jackson.
Where do you see us going forward? Good or bad or?
Repent or perish.
We're in big trouble. We're in big trouble. I don't, somebody asked us before, how do we fight this? Well, like Matt Lynn says, he read the Bible, he knows how it's going to end. All right? I don't see us winning until Jesus returns. When Jesus returns, he's going to turn things around. But in the meantime, what does the Bible tell us to do?
Occupy.
Occupy, stand and fight, put on the whole armor of God,
Amen.
and resist. Now, as Christians, it's David against Goliath.
Amen.
David beat Goliath, right? It's David against Goliath.
Made shot to set
So,
off.
we have overwhelming forces, but our job is not to worry about the outcome. We're soldiers, just like there were soldiers of Allah, we're soldiers of Christ.
Amen.
Our job is to put on the whole armor of Christ and follow our orders. Our orders are to stand and fight. And then let God worry about the outcome. And we're going to take a beating before he comes. We talk about the tribulation, is it going to be the rapture pre, mid, or post, or not at all, Pastor Simon just talks about the tribulation. But anyway, our job is to stand and fight until Jesus comes back. And get our heads lopped off if necessary. Whatever, we just have to stand and fight. And it's going to be a mess. You see what's going on in Europe, it's going to get a lot worse. Once they collapse the world economy, it's going to be an absolute disaster. It's going to be answered by every man for himself.
What is Jesus going to do that? everybody keeps saying about, I don't know when he's coming back.
You don't know, that's why you gotta be prepared.
Pray, meditate, and ask Jesus to tell you. Yeah, but Jesus said he didn't know. He said only the Father in heaven knows. Right?
So once he goes back, when things speak, like, how you stop everything.
He just,
One question, you mentioned the collapse, and I feel that's coming here before Obama leaves.
yes, yes, yeah. I've heard people say, every once in a while I listen to George Norrie on Coast to Coast AM, comes out late at night, he has a lot of people, prognosticators come out, more than one, and some of them have been accurate in the past, says that Barack Obama is going to do everything he can to collapse this country before he moves on, so he can declare martial law. And because what is communism? Pastor Sanders says communism, socialism with a police state. Right now we have a mixture of socialism and fascism with a growing police state. What they want is a maximum police state. One of the reasons, why in Ferguson they rile up these people, and why is the whole Marxist media in this country lambasting the local media? Whether in Ferguson, whether in Cleveland, whether in any city, they're always lambasting the local police, calling them racist, sexist, bigots, and homophobes and everything else. Why? Communism, socialism with the police state, but it's a centralized control police state. So if they can discredit local law enforcement, they can justify the federalization or the federal takeover of local law enforcement, just like the federal takeover of student loans, the banking system, and everything else in this country. The healthcare system, right? Barack Obama said he wants single payer. What is single payer? Socialized medicine, just like they had in Nazi Germany, Communist China, Soviet Union, and everywhere else. Unbelievable. Let's see what we only have a few more minutes left. This is something that I want to hit here. Let's take we got, let's say 10 minutes. Let's take a look at the 10 Commandments in these 10 minutes. I'm going to abbreviate it. The Bible says you're not supposed to do that, but you can go to the Bible and read the whole thing, right? Number 1, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. I catch a lot of people do that. I cringe every time I hear that. You remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Honor your father and your mother. Now let's look at the last 5 of the 10 Commandments, 6 through 10. And this is where we see the kinship between communism, or Marxism, and Islam. They say the 6th commandment is thou shalt not kill. It says that a lot, but it's really thou shalt not murder. If you go back to the original Greek and Hebrew, it says thou shalt not murder. Because even God, in the Bible, in the Old Testament, God sent his people out to kill others, right? Because killing can be justified. Killing is justified in self-defense. I would kill to defend my life if somebody's trying to take my life. Amen. I would kill to defend my family or to defend other innocent people from slaughter, right? So there's legitimate killing, right? Murder is the unjustified taking of another life.
That's right.
Look at the record of communism that I just talked about in Russia and in China. They love to kill. They love genocide. Look at what's happening with ISIS, right? In Iraq and Syria, beheading people and photographing it and sending them out to the world.
The same in Iran, the mullahs, hanging innocent people.
Yes, crucifying Christians. Like I said, and killing Christian children who are not converted.
But they don't do it in Iran, but they do it for people who are anti-regime.
So both Marxists and Muslims, the radicalized Muslims, are homicidal, genocidal maniacs. How about the next commandment? Thou shalt not commit adultery. You know, they say Vladimir Lenin died of a series of strokes. There are people who say he died of syphilis because he was sleeping with so many women. Castro brothers slept, same thing. All these Marxist leaders, once they get in office, they sleep with all sorts of women, even whether they're married or not. What in Islam? Let's take a look at Muhammad, the founder of Islam. He had about a dozen wives, one of which was a 9-year-old girl. Right? He's a pedophile. compare the life of Muhammad, the founder of Islam, with the life of Jesus, the founder of Christianity. Jesus is the Prince of Peace. Muhammad, in a 10-year period, in one decade, Muhammad was engaged in 8 battles, 18 raids, and he planned 38 military operations. He was a warrior. He was the Prince of Darkness, the Prince of War. Our God, Jesus, our leader, is the Prince of Peace. Their leader is a pedophile. Ours is pure. Right? Also, when you take a look at Muhammad, when he was 25, he married a wealthy 40-year-old woman. And that allowed him to go traveling around the country and supposedly meditate and communion with God. And eventually she died. When he turned 40, he said he was visited by the angel Gabriel, and he was told to do all of these things. And he kept changing things as he kept sleeping with different women. He kept changing things. One woman he married, he was 56, he married at 20. He died when he was 62. He was born in 1570, died in 1632. When he was 56 years old, he married a 20-year-old woman. But he killed the woman's husband before he married in battle. If you're a Muslim, if you kill a man in battle, you can take his wife, you can take his children, you can take his property, you can take his money, you can take everything. How does that compare with Christianity? Right? So, both the leaders of Islam and the leaders of Marxism are sexual perverts. Right? Let's look. Number 8, thou shalt not steal. What do communists do? Barack Obama talks about the redistribution of wealth. Before you, like I said, they're not talking about redistributing their own wealth, they're talking about redistributing your wealth. Our wealth, right? So they confiscate it. They steal our money, our property, and they use it to buy votes to keep them in power. They give it to the proletariat, all these proletariat groups that they created. Environmentalists is just another proletariat group. They have to protect Mother Earth from us and from capitalism. And like I just said, how about in Islam? In battle, you can kill a man, you can take his wife, you can take his children, you can take his money, you can take his property. Both believe in confiscating other people's money and property, even killing the head of the household in the process. Okay? Unbelievable. How about 9? Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Both of them bear false witnesses against their neighbor, which means both of them lie. And both of them, in both Marxism and Islam, they say it's okay to lie to infidels, to non-believers. Right? Communists always set up front groups to fool people. Right? Let's take a look at the ACLU. The ACLU, they said their goal is to protect the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. The ACLU is founded by Charles Baldwin. Charles Baldwin, this is the exact quote. Communism is the goal. Communism is the goal of the ACLU. And in my book, Welcome to Soviet America, I list 12 goals that the ACLU has helping to implement from those 45 communist goals written by W. Cleon Skousen in his book, The Naked Communist. So I have the 1962 edition of it. Muslims, it's okay, they said Muslims say it's okay to lie under 3 circumstances. One, it's okay to lie to stop people from quarreling. It's okay to lie to your wife, of course, because you can have sex with a slave woman and your wife cannot protest. I said, where are the feminists?
You're allowed to have sex with animals. I've seen that
I'm
too.
afraid that's true.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And dead people too.
Oh, man.
Necrophilia.
Yeah, they're allowed to do that too.
And they're allowed to lie during war. So you can lie to stop a quarrel, which supposedly that really is not supposed to lie and steal with other Muslims, but they do it. So you can lie during war, you can lie to your wife, and you can lie to stop a quarrel. So lying is permitted. Also, the 10th commandment is thou shalt not covet. But that's all they do is covet. They're all a bunch of predators. They covet your money. They covet your property. Right? And they want to take it. They want to take everything you have and you know, they talk about single-payer healthcare system, and the federal government wants to take over everything. They want to control everything. They want all of your property. They want all of the businesses. They want all of everything. Unbelievable. Talking about bearing false witness against your neighbor. So anyway, like I said, both Marxists and both Muslims believe it's okay to lie. It's also, they both believe it's okay to deny who you are. You interview these people, they say they're liberals, right? Or progressives. They're Marxists. But they're lying about who they are. We have Republicans who say they're conservatives when they're actually what I call Menshevik Republicans. And in the Soviet Union, there was actually two groups of communists that established communism in Russia and then set up the Soviet Union. There were the Bolsheviks and the Mensheviks. Bolsheviks means majority in Russian, Menshevik means minority. There's two groups of people building a Soviet America, setting up communism in this country. I call them the Bolshevik Democrats and the Menshevik Republicans. George W. Bush is a Menshevik Republican. John Boehner is a Menshevik Republican. They're helping the Democrats build a Soviet-style America. Right? John Boehner says he's going to fight tooth and nail against Obamacare, and then he funds it for a year. George W. Bush gave us the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. He Sovietized security at our airports. He came up with the No Child Left Behind, the Real ID Act, the federalized. So much of the Republican leadership are Menshevik Republicans. We only have about 2 minutes left. And have any questions? Any comments?
In that video, you know, when they would show the Islamic slums or whatever, they don't care how they live then, obviously. I mean, they have these gorgeous mosques, but they live like, from what it showed in the picture, they're all just laying around doing nothing. Living off of welfare.
Welfare. They're doing the same thing that, here. They want as many people to be on welfare as possible. And they pit them against the middle class. The purpose of these no-go zones is to, and they're constantly pumping hatred into them, and they want them to destroy the middle class of France and England and Europe, and order out of chaos. Right? The more destruction they cause, the more they can justify a police state. Right? Communism is a mixture of socialism and fascism with a police state. They want a police state. If they can have out and out civil war in this country, out and out civil war in France and England, they can justify a federal takeover of everything and a federal police state, and they have full-blown communism.
And so obviously these people have all been brainwashed because they can't think outside the box.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much. I apologize for jumping around a little bit, because like I said, I was in 3 parts on communism, and then the video I was supposed to show, I didn't show. And then this video they did show, robbed me of my second part. I was going to talk about this.
Where are you from?
I was born in Lakewood, Ohio, raised in Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
I've traveled around a lot. I've lived in California and Arizona.
Where are you at now?
I live in Cleveland. I returned to Cleveland in 1999. Before 2000, because I thought Y2K might do something, and I came back. My last stand is in Cleveland. This is how I was raised.